Hi everyone, it's Kaylee. Today I'm going to be talking about abused and neglected students. I chose this topic out of all of them because this one's really serious to me, and I feel like as educators, we can really put a stop to this and help so many students. And I want to make sure that the parents can get the help they need as well. So I hope you enjoy my video. So here we go. I wanted to start out with this quote that I found while doing my research because it really stuck out to me and was worded just great, and I really loved it. The primary goal of the education system is to teach, obviously, but in order to achieve that, it's sometimes necessary to remove barriers that impede a child's ability to learn. I just really love that. I hope you guys will too. In this video, we're going to be talking about how all children have the right to live in an environment free from abuse and neglect. We're going to talk about children who have been abused and neglected, and we're going to talk about how, as educators, we deal with that and can prevent that from ever happening again. All of our children deserve to grow up in an environment where their physical, emotional, educational, social needs, all of their basic needs are being met before we can teach them anything. We have to make sure their well-being is okay. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a few ways that as teachers we can help these students in the classroom. The first one is maintain the student's normal status with the class. Don't treat them differently from the rest of the class, all right? Don't make it obvious. Maintain a routine in your classroom. That could really help the student feel better and, make sure that it's just a comfort thing. The next is to respect the student's privacy. I know that as teachers, we are going to help and we will help, but we need to make sure that we don't overstep our boundaries, all right? We want to make sure that we're making our students feel good and feel like they belong in the classroom. Look for opportunities to do activities where it builds up their self-confidence. We need to build up their self-esteem and make sure that they know their worth. Always be as positive you can. Don't ever put your students down, any of them. Make sure you're giving students feedback on themselves, and positive feedback. Say, oh, you did really good on that. I really liked how you said that when you wrote this. Or, just give them information. Make them feel like they're a part of it and they matter. As educators, it's our professional responsibility to gain a deep, personal, committed relationship to the welfare of the child. The value of this personal, committed relationship is significant because without it, child abuse and neglected prevention and treatment efforts would only be superficial and inefficient. In this sense of personal responsibility to and for the child, that is perhaps the strongest reason for educators to become involved in the prevention and intervention of the child. As educators, we're going to be able to pick up on indications of possible maltreatment by observing the child's behavior during school and in the classroom. We can recognize physical signs, obviously, like bruising, and we need to notice and pay attention what the parents and the family is like when we do interact with them. Neglect is the most common type of maltreatment that children experience, and the consequences are just as serious, if not more serious, than physical abuse. It accounts for over 1/2 of reported child maltreatment cases and is the leading cause of deaths due to child maltreatment. When educators are considering the possibility of neglect, we need to ask ourselves these questions. How's the child's hygiene? Do they have poor hygiene? Is the child dressed inappropriately for the weather conditions? Is the child having difficulty staying awake in the classroom? Is the child stealing food? It is the educator's role to report any suspicion of child maltreatment. Most states require educators to report suspected child maltreatment unless educators are grouped under the category of anyone. All states, the District of Columbia, and the U.S. territories have reporting statutes for children abuse and neglect. These statutes outline who must report, to whom the abuse or neglect must be reported, and the form of the report. Given the diversity of the statutes, educators must be familiar with or obtain a copy of the law in their state. Educators should follow local school system policies and procedures for reporting suspected abuse. All states require that an oral or written report be made to the agency or agencies responsible for child abuse and neglect. Educators are in a unique position to provide valuable support to maltreated children and their families. Highly trained educators already in schools and skilled in working with children and parents can be a great of help to maltreated children and their families. A great way to help neglected and abused children is to get them into a little counseling and get them out of the classroom for a while. Go have them get with the counselor and go have them do some fun stuff. I remember my parents went through a divorce and I went to counseling, and she had me just do positive self-boosting activities, and it's incredible how much that really did just change, my whole life. Just a little bit of help. Most schools typically offer both direct and indirect support for the families of maltreated children. Educators that serve children with disabilities are already working with the parent to develop individual education plans. These skills can be transferred to planning programs for maltreated children that focus on their needs and involve their parents. When families with maltreated children experience financial difficulties, school may be able to provide free or reduced price breakfasts, lunch, field trips, and all the extra activities that we do during school. Parents who are involved in child abuse and neglect are usually lonely and are experiencing periods of great personal or family stress. Many schools already provide programs and services that can directly benefit these parents. Let me go ahead and tell you. We have education programs that emphasize the unique skills required of a parent and help them understand that these skills are learned. They're not just given to you naturally. We offer a counseling program that is just fantastic, and they are willing to help the students, the parents, the family. They will help you go through these times. Just by recognizing and reporting child maltreatment are important to prevent abuse and neglect from continuing or reoccurring. It is important for us to teach our students what is acceptable when it comes to personal hygiene and education planning and the time management. We need to teach those to our students, because if they're being neglected at home, they're not being taught those things. Alright, that's all I'm going to talk about today. I hope you guys learned some things and this can help you when we are all teachers. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.